One worshipper dies, two others fighting for their lives after knife-wielding assailants attack a KwaZulu-Natal mosque. Sections of the ANC take issue with Super Mahumapelo's leave of absence, some saying he wants to weaken the party to start his own splinter group. This is eNews at 8. I'm Sally Burdett. Good evening. To our top story now. One person has died, two others are in hospital tonight after a knife attack at a mosque in Verulam this afternoon. All three victims had their throats slit by a group who arrived at the mosque at about 3 p.m. Let's speak now to our reporter at the scene, Desin. Good evening to you, Desin. What do we know about the two people in hospital? What is the latest?
Well, Sally, the latest information coming through after this gruesome attack is that one of those men has since been released. We understand that that is the Mulana that was attacked that has been released. The other man remains in hospital in a very serious condition. And as you mentioned, the other gentleman has passed on, sadly. We also understand that the case has now been taken over by the Hawks. We spoke to the SAPS earlier, and they now say that the Hawks are looking for those three men that came into the mosque that you see behind me and attacked those men. I also had the opportunity to speak to one of the founders, Azad Sidat, and apart from condemning this attack, as did the Muslim Judicial Council, he also explained to me what he understood took place here. So the way he described it was that these men had arrived here. Sally, I'll just step out of shot so you can take a look at this gate while I speak to you. He says that men arrived at this gate, pressed on the buzzer and greeted the Mulana with an Islamic greeting. They were let in, but as soon as they came in, that's when they attacked the first man, which was the Mulana. After he was attacked, he managed to make his way upstairs and tried to call for help, and he actually called the gentleman that I spoke to. While that was happening, the second man was attacked downstairs. And during this time, the Mulana managed to escape. Although he was injured at this point, he managed to get out of a window and escape the scene. A third man came through to help the second man, and he too was attacked, and that was
terrible.
When those men fled in a white vehicle. That's about all we know at this point, that those men fled down this road that you see behind me in that vehicle. Very little information coming in about descriptions, because we understand that parts of their faces were covered. So
certainly no arrests at this stage. The Hawks have taken over. The Mulana has come out of hospital, so one man critical condition in hospital, one sadly has died. What possible motive could there have been for this attack, Desin?
You know, Sally, in a situation like this, things can get very dangerous. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors flying around here, and many people are even throwing words around like terrorist attack. But at this point, police don't know for sure exactly what the motive is, but I can tell you this much, that the founder of the mosque says that he believes that people are targeting Shias. I'm by no means an expert on Islamic practices, but he says that is one sect of Islam, and he understands that they have been targeted before, and there is a certain hatred that is directed at that sect of the Islamic community.
Thank you so much. That was our reporter Desin giving us the very latest on that knife attack in Verulam in KwaZulu-Natal at a mosque this afternoon. One person dead, one still in hospital. Well, let's move now to the North West province. Premier Super Mahumapelo on a leave of absence, this amid calls for him to resign under a cloud of corruption allegations. The matters also highlighted divisions within the party there. Those critical of Mahumapelo say his leave of absence is illegal and unconstitutional. The ANC Youth League in the region, which does not support him, says the party's in disarray and in the hands of gangsters who want to destroy the party.
In our view, they are in a bid to consolidate the ground for them when they decide to work against the ANC in the open, because at the moment they are working together to weaken and to destroy the ANC, so that at some point they are now able to formulate their own splinter group or their own organization. That is our suspicion. And that has been confirmed yesterday by the Premier's announcement that he will be touring the province for the period of 18 months to make sure that he recruits for the splinter group.
Well, at the same time, Patients at several hospitals and clinics in the North West province are suffering. A 2-week strike by health workers is adding enormous pressure to an already ailing hospital service. Health workers are demanding better management and improved working conditions. Striking nursing staff have even been blocking access at some facilities as part of the strike action. Zikhona Chona visited Potchefstroom Hospital earlier today.
Verulam has just walked out of Potchefstroom Hospital, but she keeps complaining about being in pain. The 63-year-old was admitted on Wednesday because of low blood pressure and pain in her knee. But she says she would rather go home than be at the hospital. She's prepared to walk home barefoot, saying the staff could not even help her find her shoes. Ngena says there are many in her ward who opted to go home rather than wait for treatment. She says she was told to come back next week when calm has been restored. She's weak and rests in the shade before embarking on her walk. Luckily, one of the few nurses working takes her back inside. Protesting healthcare workers say maladministration in the provincial health sector is trickling down to the hospital and they want action.
Grievances that I said we submitted last time, which range from maladministration within the Department of Health, corruption, staff shortage, and dilapidated infrastructure, which have not yet been addressed by the province ever since, which is exactly what led to everything that is happening.
The workers also want Mahumapelo removed from his position as Premier, saying it's his leadership that's created a mess in the North West healthcare services. National Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi is expected to meet with provincial leaders on Friday to discuss the situation. Zikhona Chona, Potchefstroom.
Former Western Cape Police Commissioner Arnaud Lamour is facing 6 years behind bars. The High Court sentenced him to 8 years in jail with 2 years suspended. The former police chief was found guilty of corruption in February. He admitted to writing letters of good standing for businessman Salim Dauji while serving as provincial commissioner. In return, Dauji lent money to Lamour. His co-accused received sentences ranging from 2 to 6 years. There's a glimmer of hope that the protracted bus strike could come to an end soon. Employers have made a new wage offer that unions are now considering. Bus drivers downed tools 3 weeks ago over wage increases and working conditions. Bus companies are giving unions what they've asked for, but the catch is the 9% increase for year 1 will only come into effect on the day the agreement is signed. The 8% increase for year 2 will be effective from the 1st of April 2019. Outstanding issues such as dual driver payments, night shift allowances and insourcing will be referred to a task team. Unions are now consulting their members and will have answers, they say, for the employers on Friday afternoon. Still ahead on eNews, we go to Washington for details on the news that US President Donald Trump will be meeting his North Korean counterpart next month. That will be a historic meeting. And here at home, grieving families say goodbye to the miners who died underground last week. Mining unions say it's time mine bosses face arrest and prosecution when miners die. This was the strong message from trade unions who attended a memorial today for the 7 mine workers who died last week at Sibanye Stillwater in Driefontein. Malungelo Boy was at the memorial.
God take care of their family.
These mine workers are here to remember their dead colleagues. Baptista Kaumbe, Bongumusa Mgomezulu, Ernesto Lumbela, Mbulelo Sonqowa, Nkosi Pendulo Dundlela, Thabo Ntseke, Christmas Matigizela. died when a second seismic event hit Driefontein last week. 6 others had to be hospitalized. At their memorial service, unions were for once united in their criticism of the country's track record on mine safety.
Ukwehlukana kwethu ngemibutho akutsho ukuba masikhohle ukuba utshabalwa abasebenzi ngumqashi.
Our differences as employees and unions doesn't mean that the company must take advantage.
All workers in South African mines, remember and exercise your right to withdraw from unsafe working conditions.
Currently, the Mine Health and Safety Act is unable to hold employers criminally liable for exposing workers to unsafe conditions.
At the same time, Sibanye Stillwater says the incident occurred at the time while they were working on improving safety.
And just as we've heard many of the organized labor leaders call for withdrawal from unsafe working conditions, we want exactly the same.
31 mine workers have died in the sector this year. Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mandashe is promising an urgent health and safety summit. He says an inquiry will be launched into the latest deaths.
We may be seated.
I'm committing that inquiry into this disaster will be accelerated and report will be released swiftly.
Most of those who died are breadwinners and fathers. Their funerals will be held on Saturday. Malungelo Pui, Carltonville.
Economic freedom fighters leader Julius Malema has sought to reassure South Africans about land expropriation without compensation. He says while expropriation could include land on which homes have been built, homeowners should not worry. The property will remain yours, but the land should be nationalised. Now, a number of countries actually operate in a similar way, for example, Mozambique. And in England, the Crown is the ultimate owner of all the land. This is how Julius Malema explained it.
By the way, we are nationalizing the land and everything else that comes with the land underground. Not these things on top. If you've got the bond, we will talk to the bank that we have taken the land. How much was the land, by the way, on your bond? And then they will tell us, that is gone without compensation. You are left with the bond of the house. If your house is bonded. We never said we are nationalizing the houses. We are nationalizing the land. Those above the land, they are yours. Those are your properties. You have invested in them. If you have bonded a house, you must continue to pay. But we'll give you a discount because we'll have taken that debt away from you and we are not going to pay any bank.
News from the United States now. Well, specifically President Donald Trump's Twitter account. Trump announced today that he's set to meet North Korean leader Kim Jong-un next month. Trump intends to use the meeting to persuade Pyongyang to abandon its nuclear weapons. Our correspondent Simon Marks is in Washington to tell us more about this historic meeting. Good day to you, Simon. Now, this is the first time ever, it will be, that sitting US and North Korean leaders will meet. Quite remarkable. How did Donald Trump do it? How important is it?
Look, it's utterly remarkable, Sally, and he's achieved it basically by throwing the rule book of American foreign policy out of the window. For decades, the rule book has said that if there is ever going to be a meeting between an American president and a North Korean leader, then it has to be very carefully calibrated. Preconditions have to be met before any agreement to meet can be struck. Well, all of this has happened in the space of just a few weeks, because if you cast your mind back to just a couple of months ago, Donald Trump was dismissively referring to Kim Jong-un as Rocket Man. In his speech to the United Nations General Assembly last year, he talked about bringing fire and fury down on the Korean Peninsula, the likes of which the world has never seen. Now, suddenly, he says the stage is set for a summit meeting that will take place on June the 12th in Singapore. The aim of the summit to achieve the total denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
That, skeptics say, is a very high bar to meet, and they worry about the pace with which all of this has been achieved, because they say that the North Koreans have decades of experience showing up at summit meetings, signing accords, making pledges, and then reneging on those promises at a later date. The Trump administration is going to be held to a very high bar at that summit meeting, but the mere fact that it's happening is raising eyebrows all over Washington.
Thank you so much. That was Simon Marks in Washington telling us more about that historic meeting. It's planned for Singapore, June the 12th, between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. Let's take a quick look at other international news now. In Kenya, at least 41 people have died after a dam burst following weeks of heavy rain. The dam gave way in Nakuru County, causing massive problems. The country's Red Cross says it's already rescued 39 people. Let's recap your top story now. One worshipper has died, one more is in hospital. One has since been released from hospital. This after knife-wielding assailants attacked a KwaZulu-Natal mosque this afternoon.
Hello everyone. Friday brings cirrus cloud to much of the Highveld as well as towards KwaZulu-Natal. That's going to be spreading across the area, although it remains dry once again in the region. While in the west we're monitoring a cold front that's approaching. It's quite weak. It will only bring some light rain to some areas along the west coast towards evening. Ahead of that, there'll be an area of thunderstorms developing over parts of the Cape provinces, and some of those thunder showers could even reach some areas along the coast. Let's look at your city forecast for Friday. And in the northern Cape, there's a little bit of everything in the province. Cooler in the west, warming up as you head eastwards. Thunderstorms inland, and along with that, it's going to be a windy afternoon for many parts of this province. In the Western Cape, rainfall reaching Langebaan and Cape Town later on, and there we can also see a few thunder showers over parts of the Karoo, spreading southwards towards the coastline. Very similar as we cross over into the Eastern Cape, thunder showers from Graafrenet all the way through to Port Alfred. East of that, only partly cloudy weather, and it's going to be a hot day in the province, especially for the areas close to the coast. Warm to hot weather as well for KwaZulu-Natal. Lots of cirrus cloud over this area, but there won't be any rain during the course of your Friday. And we'll also have some cloud cover passing overhead for Mpumalanga, along with some hot weather towards the Lowveld. 34 degrees as a high in Skukuza. Sunny, dry and warm to hot conditions once again for Limpopo, almost unchanged over the last few days. And we're going to have a typically cold morning for parts of the northwest, but once again temperatures climbing into the mid to upper 20s for the afternoon. The Free State can also expect that cirrus cloud to be passing over the province during the afternoon hours. Bloemfontein, you'll still get to a very comfortable 27 degrees. And for Gauteng, some cloud over this area, no change otherwise, 24 degrees for both Soweto and Johannesburg. Let's take a look ahead to the start of your weekend, and on Saturday we'll see a big change for KwaZulu-Natal with showers and thunderstorms over the province. There could still be a bit of light rain at first for Cape Town, while on Sunday it will be clear and mild towards the western parts of the country, but another cloudy day for KZN along with a few more showers. That's all from the Weather Centre. Goodbye for now.
And finally, every dog has his or her day. And in Ecuador, some hard-working police poochers have had theirs. Retiring police dogs have been honoured at a special ceremony. The retirement age for dogs is around 9 years old. 7 dogs who died in the past year were also honoured. The dogs leaving the force have been adopted by members of the public in Ecuador. The deputy dogs now deserve to snooze in the lounge after a tough career specialising in drug and explosives detection and search operations. I think the only searching they'll be doing now is for biscuits. Let's recap your top stories this evening. One worshipper dies, another is fighting for his life in hospital tonight after knife-wielding assailants attacked a KwaZulu-Natal mosque this afternoon. Another victim has since been discharged.